4 anti-ship missiles screamed across the Caribbean at Mach 2.5. Target: USS Nitze, Arleigh Burke-class destroyer. Venezuela's military just made the biggest mistake in their history. What happened next rewrote the rules of naval warfare. November 16, 2025, 4:47 a.m. Eastern Caribbean Sea, 23 miles north of Venezuelan territorial waters. USS Nitze conducting routine freedom of navigation operations. Crew of 380, displacement 9,200 tons, armed with 96 vertical launch cells. The destroyer was monitoring Venezuelan military exercises when threat alarms detonated across the Combat Information Center. Venezuela had been planning this for 8 months. Their strategy seemed flawless on paper. 4 Russian-made P-800 Oniks anti-ship missiles, range 370 miles, speed Mach 2.5, warhead 660 pounds of high explosive, price tag $2.5 million each. Venezuelan command believed these supersonic monsters would cripple American naval presence in the region. Intelligence suggested the destroyer's defenses couldn't handle a coordinated strike. They were about to discover how catastrophically wrong that assessment was. The missiles launched from mobile coastal batteries at Las Piedras Naval Base. 4 white trails blazed into the pre-dawn sky. Infrared signatures lit up satellite feeds at U.S. Southern Command. The countdown began. Time to impact, 6 minutes, 12 seconds. Venezuelan president declared this a defensive action against American aggression. State media prepared victory announcements. Military officers watched radar screens with growing confidence. The missiles maintained perfect formation, skimming 45 feet above wave tops. Sea skimming profile designed to evade radar detection until the final seconds. But what they didn't know was that USS Nitze had been tracking their preparations for 3 weeks. Commander Sarah Mitchell ordered battle stations at exactly 4:48 a.m. The Aegis Combat System came alive. AN/SPI-1D radar locked onto all 4 inbound threats simultaneously. The system processed 12 million calculations per second. Fire control solutions generated in 2.3 seconds. Standard Missile 6 interceptors, armed and ready in vertical launch cells. The crew had trained for this exact scenario 47 times in the past year. Now the simulation became devastatingly real. What's your weapon of choice? Type A for missiles, Type B for close-in weapons systems. First interceptor launched at 4:49 a.m. A pillar of flame erupted from the forward vertical launch system. The SM-6 missile accelerated to Mach 3.5 in 8 seconds, climbing to 32,000 feet before diving on the lead Venezuelan missile. Active radar seeker acquired target at 18 miles. Terminal guidance activated. Impact occurred at 4:23 a.m. The $4.3 million interceptor struck the $2.5 million threat head-on. The explosion lit up the dawn sky like a miniature sun. Debris rained into the Caribbean, some pieces traveling another 2 miles before splashing down. 3 threats remained, all still inbound, all still supersonic. The Aegis system had already calculated solutions for the remaining missiles. Second SM-6 launched 4 seconds after the first kill. Third interceptor followed 2.8 seconds later. The Venezuelan missiles attempted evasive maneuvers, pre-programmed patterns designed by Russian engineers. Sharp banking turns at 300 knots, altitude variations of 200 feet. The missiles weaved and jinked. But the American interceptors adjusted course 40 times per second, computing new trajectories with ruthless precision. Second kill at 4:51:04 a.m. Range 11 miles from USS Nitze. The interceptor's proximity fuse detonated when it passed within 9 feet of the threat. Fragmentation warhead shredded the Venezuelan missile's guidance systems and fuel tanks. The wreckage tumbled into the ocean, trailing fire and smoke. 2 down, 2 still coming. The third Venezuelan missile broke through to 8 miles, close enough that sailors on deck could see its contrail. The destroyer's automated defenses shifted to Layer 2. RIM 162, evolved Sea Sparrow missiles armed in the aft launcher. Smaller, faster, designed for close-range intercepts. Cost $1.8 million each. The system launched 2 in rapid succession. Double-tap protocol for high-priority threats. Both Sea Sparrows tracked the same target. The Venezuelan missile never had a chance. First interceptor struck at 4:51:38 a.m. Second hit the tumbling wreckage 0.7 seconds later. The combined explosions created a fireball visible from the Nitze's bridge. 3 down, 1 missile left. But this last one had gotten too close. Range, 3.2 miles. Time to impact, 22 seconds. Too close for standard interceptors. The Aegis system automatically handed control to the Phalanx CIWS. The close-in weapon system, last line of defense, a 6-barrel 20mm Gatling gun capable of firing 4,500 rounds per minute. The system tracked, calculated, and opened fire without human intervention. The sound was ungodly, a mechanical roar that shook the entire ship. Tungsten penetrator rounds screamed downrange at 3,600 feet per second. The Phalanx fired 212 rounds in 2.8 seconds, creating a wall of metal between the destroyer and incoming death. Radar tracked each individual projectile, adjusting aim in real time to account for wind, target movement, and projectile drop. The Venezuelan missile flew directly into this steel cloud. 17 rounds struck home. The warhead detonated 1.4 miles from USS Nitze. The blast wave hit the ship 6 seconds later. Windows rattled, equipment shook, but 0 damage, 0 casualties. 4 missiles launched, 4 missiles destroyed. Time elapsed, 3 minutes, 41 seconds. Cost to Venezuela, $10 million in missiles. Cost to America, $14.7 million in interceptors. But the price Venezuela was about to pay would be far, far higher. Commander Mitchell transmitted one word to Fleet Command: Splash, code for successful engagement. Then she ordered a response that Venezuela never anticipated. The destroyer carried 28 Tomahawk cruise missiles in its vertical launch cells, each worth $2 million, each capable of striking targets 1,000 miles away with 3-foot accuracy. Authorization came from the Pentagon in 4 minutes. The retaliation was swift, precise, and overwhelming. At 4:57 a.m., USS Nitze began launching Tomahawks, 1 every 10 seconds. The missiles emerged from their cells in pillars of flame and smoke, each one programmed with specific coordinates. The targets: Las Piedras Naval Base, Venezuelan coastal radar installations, the mobile missile launchers that initiated the attack, command and control bunkers. The United States wasn't just responding, they were erasing Venezuela's ability to threaten American vessels ever again. The Tomahawks flew low. Terrain-following radar kept them 150 feet above the water. They approached the Venezuelan coast at 550 miles per hour. Venezuelan air defense systems attempted to respond, but their Soviet-era radars couldn't track the stealthy cruise missiles. The weapons arrived like ghosts, silent until the moment of impact. First Tomahawk struck at 5:23 a.m. The mobile launcher that fired the lead missile disappeared in a blast crater 40 feet deep. Second impact 9 seconds later. Third launcher obliterated. The third and fourth launchers tried to relocate. Too late. GPS-guided warheads found them anyway. Each 1,000-pound blast was precisely calibrated. Maximum damage to military targets. Minimal collateral impact. Las Piedras Naval Base took 8 Tomahawk strikes in 17 minutes. Radar installations shattered. Communications towers collapsed. Ammunition bunkers erupted in secondary explosions that shook windows 12 miles away. The command bunker, where Venezuelan officers watched their attack, took a direct hit at 5:31 a.m. The reinforced concrete structure designed to withstand conventional bombs couldn't stop a missile traveling at 550 km with 1,000 pounds of high explosive. The bunker's roof caved in. 3 stories of military infrastructure compressed into rubble. What would you have done when those missiles were inbound? Comment your answer below. But the United States wasn't finished. 2 submarines had been operating in the region. USS Toledo, Virginia-class attack submarine. USS Helena, Los Angeles-class boat. Both had been tracking Venezuelan naval movements for weeks. Both received execute orders at 5:15 a.m. Their targets: every Venezuelan naval vessel within 200 miles of the attack site. Venezuela's navy consisted of 53 vessels. Most were patrol boats and frigates from the 1980s. Their flagship was the ARBV Almirante Brion, an Italian-made frigate commissioned in 1980. Displacement: 3,600 tons. The ship was conducting exercises 40 miles off the coast when USS Toledo's periscope broke the surface 8,000 yards away. The submarine launched 4 Mark 48 torpedoes in rapid succession. Each weapon weighed 3,700 pounds. Each carried 650 pounds of high explosive. Each cost $3.8 million. The torpedoes accelerated to 55 knots, their active sonar pinging off the frigate's hull. Venezuelan sonar operators detected the threats at 4,200 yards. The frigate attempted evasive maneuvers, turning hard to port while deploying acoustic countermeasures. None of it mattered. The Mark 48's guidance system ignored the decoys. First torpedo struck the frigate's port side at 5:42 a.m. The shaped charge warhead detonated directly against the hull. A 20-foot hole appeared below the waterline. The second torpedo hit amidships 7 seconds later. The explosion broke the frigate's keel. The ship began folding in on itself. Third and fourth torpedoes were unnecessary, but they struck anyway. Protocol demanded confirmed kills. The Almirante Brion sank in 4 minutes. The crew of 186 had just enough time to abandon ship. Lifeboats and rafts hit the water as the frigate's stern rose vertically. The ship slipped beneath the waves at 5:46 a.m. Venezuelan Naval Command watched their flagship disappear on radar. Panic spread through their remaining fleet. USS Helena engaged 3 patrol boats simultaneously. The submarine didn't even need torpedoes. The boats were small enough that the sub's external weapons could handle them. UGM-84 Harpoon missiles launched from torpedo tubes. The anti-ship missiles broke the surface, ignited their rocket motors, and streaked toward their targets at 537 miles per hour. The patrol boats had no defense systems, no countermeasures, no chance. All 3 vessels destroyed within 90 seconds. The Harpoon's 488-pound warheads completely obliterated the small craft. Debris fields spread across square miles of ocean. Venezuelan sailors in the water radioed for help. American forces transmitted their coordinates to Venezuelan Coast Guard. The message was clear: we will destroy your military, but we won't murder your sailors. By 6:30 a.m., Venezuela's navy had effectively ceased to exist as a fighting force. Their flagship was gone. 12 patrol boats destroyed. Coastal defenses obliterated. The mobile missile launchers that started this disaster were smoking craters. The command infrastructure that authorized the attack was rubble. The entire operation from first missile launch to complete Venezuelan defeat. 1 hour, 43 minutes. The aftermath was brutal for Venezuela's military leadership. 7 admirals resigned within 48 hours. The defense minister was arrested. International investigations revealed the attack was unauthorized by civilian government. A rogue military faction had acted independently, believing they could strike American forces without consequences. Venezuela's total losses exceeded $800 million. 4 anti-ship missiles, $10 million. 1 frigate, $400 million. 12 patrol boats, $180 million. Coastal defense infrastructure, $210 million. But the real cost was strategic. Venezuela's navy reduced to a Coast Guard operation. Their ability to project power eliminated. America's losses: $14.7 million in interceptor missiles, 0 casualties, 0 damage to USS Nitze. The destroyer remained on station for another 6 hours, then continued its patrol. Because for a modern Arleigh Burke-class destroyer with Aegis Combat Systems, defeating 4 anti-ship missiles was routine. The tactical breakdown reveals why this engagement was so one-sided. Venezuela relied on weapons from the 1990s against systems from the 2020s. Their missiles were fast, but predictable. The P-800 Oniks is a formidable weapon against most navies, but not against a prepared American destroyer with full situational awareness. Commander Mitchell's decision to track Venezuelan preparations proved decisive. When the missiles launched, the destroyer wasn't surprised. They were ready. Every sailor at their station, every system armed and calibrated. The engagement wasn't a battle. It was a demonstration. If you're enjoying this deep dive into modern naval warfare, take a moment to hit that subscribe button. The Pentagon released select footage 72 hours after the attack. The message was clear: don't test American naval defenses. China's navy paid particular attention. Russia updated their tactical assessments. Iran revised their Strait of Hormuz strategies. 1 engagement, 1 destroyer, complete dominance. Brazil and Colombia both requested increased naval cooperation with the United States. Venezuela's remaining military leadership purged hardliners and requested diplomatic channels. Venezuela found itself isolated, its military humiliated, its naval capabilities demolished. The engagement proved that layered naval defenses work exactly as designed. First layer, long-range SM-6 interceptors. Second layer, Sea Sparrow missiles. Third layer, Phalanx CIWS. Each layer backed up the others. The result was a defensive network that 4 supersonic missiles couldn't penetrate. Venezuela spent $10 million on missiles that lasted less than 4 minutes. America spent $14.7 million on interceptors that worked flawlessly, then spent $56 million on Tomahawks that erased Venezuela's coastal defenses. Then submarines sank Venezuela's navy with $27 million in torpedoes and missiles. The disparity was overwhelming. Support the channel by giving this video a thumbs up if you found it valuable. USS Nitze returned to Norfolk Naval Station 3 weeks later. The crew received commendations. The captain was promoted. The ship underwent maintenance and immediately deployed again. 1 destroyer intercepting 4 missiles while destroying an entire nation's naval capability is just another Tuesday for the United States Navy. The lessons from this engagement will influence naval doctrine for decades. Intelligence wins battles before they start. Layered defenses provide redundancy that saves lives. Technological superiority matters more than numerical superiority. Don't attack American warships unless you're prepared to lose everything. Venezuela learned all 4 lessons simultaneously. The tuition was $800 million and their entire naval capability. Modern naval warfare isn't about fair fights. It's about bringing overwhelming capability to every engagement. The Arleigh Burke-class destroyer embodies this philosophy. These ships cost $1.8 billion each. They carry $200 million in weapons systems. When one of these destroyers enters your waters, you have 2 options: stand down, or be destroyed. Venezuela chose destruction. The Caribbean Sea returned to normal within days. Merchant ships resumed their routes. Fishing vessels went back to work. American destroyers continued their patrols. But everyone in the region understood something new. The balance of power wasn't balanced at all. One American warship had casually demolished a nation's navy while suffering zero damage. The implications were profound and undeniable. This kind of detailed tactical breakdown takes hours to research. Subscribe to help us keep making them. Was this engagement a defensive necessity or excessive retaliation? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Should America have stopped after intercepting the missiles? Or was destroying Venezuela's navy the correct response? What would you have ordered if you were the captain? The tactical decisions made in those 3 minutes changed the strategic landscape for years. Freedom of navigation isn't just a phrase. It's backed by the most powerful navy in human history. A navy that can intercept your missiles, sink your ships, and destroy your bases before breakfast. A navy that operates 290 vessels in every ocean simultaneously. A navy that never forgets and never forgives attacks on its ships. Venezuela fired 4 missiles at one American destroyer. They lost their entire navy in return. The exchange rate was clear. The message was unmistakable. The lesson was permanent. Don't start fights you can't finish. Don't attack forces you can't defeat. Don't test systems designed by the world's most advanced military-industrial complex. If you made it this far, you're the core of our community. Like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss analyses like this. Drop a comment with your thoughts on how this engagement could have gone differently. What mistakes did Venezuela make? What did the U.S. Navy do perfectly? Your engagement directly shapes what we cover next. The Caribbean is quiet now. USS Nitze is somewhere in the Atlantic. Venezuela's coastal defense systems are being rebuilt under international supervision. The destroyed ships rest on the ocean floor. And every navy in the world updated their threat assessments of American naval power. 4 missiles, 1 destroyer, total victory. That's not just a battle report, that's a warning.